What's up, guys? This is Tom with Stocked Up, and we're coming at you as stocks had an amazing move on Friday, right back to the upside after selling off with the big FOMC meeting last week. So we have a ton of stuff to go over. We have huge earnings coming up this week. There's also a lot of stuff on the economic calendar that we're going to have to be looking at as the week goes on. But with some of those earnings this week, we have PayPal, Palantir, Devon, Lucid, all on Monday with Tyson reporting in the morning, even Six Flags right there in the morning too. On Tuesday, we have Fisker, Airbnb, Oxy, and so much more. And if we go over to the calendar, we also have the inflation rate coming out this week as well. So there's a ton of stuff to go over in the video. If you guys are new here, smash that subscribe button. Definitely stick around till the end. We have some interesting stuff with Warren Buffett, Oxy, and a ton of amazing plays actually with some good day trades. So stick around to the end. Other than that though, let's get right into some of these big events coming up this week. And, looking at the market last week, it had a pretty good move up on Friday. We're right back up, double topping around 413.75 on the SPY. If we go over to the QQQ, we're actually almost double or triple topping, really close to 323 to 324. So really watch these two levels on the two indices. It looks like the QQQ is really trying to break out here. And I think that the big inflation rate numbers coming out on Wednesday could actually push us one way or the other. And if we look at this right here, the previous rate came in at 0.1%. They're looking for it to come in around 0.4 to 0.3%. So looks like they're actually expecting it to come in a little bit higher. So keep that in mind for the week as we go forward. The inflation rate on Wednesday is going to be the first big event. We'll talk about a lot of the other events as the week goes on and we get a little bit closer there. If we go over to the earnings though, I think this is where everybody's going to have a ton of fun as this week goes on. Like I already said, PayPal and Palantir on Monday along with Lucid. Those are some insane stocks. Let's go look at Lucid because on Friday, Lucid had a huge pop up 4.74%. If we go over to PayPal, they also had a big explosion up 4.4%. And then going back to the earnings chart, there was just so many here on the list for the week. I don't even know where to begin. But some of my favorites and I would say one of my all-time favorites right now for adding shares for the longer term is Disney. And they're going to be reporting on Wednesday after the market closes. This is one of my favorite stocks in the market. So I'm going to be watching Disney's report very, very closely. They've been bouncing a lot around this $97 to $98 support. And they just got back above $100 on Friday, which I thought was pretty good to see there. So I'm glad to see that out of Disney. I'm also going to be very interested in Roblox. I think that's a bit of a crazy stock for the week. I even believe that Lucid on Monday in after hours is going to be very interesting too. Watch Lucid. I think a lot of people might be taking bets on them and maybe PayPal tomorrow. Like I said, they were already up 4.74% from Friday, and they're actually on like a bit of a trend here. If we go to this trend line, kind of draw that out there, they've been having some pretty good bounces down here along this, and you can even extend that down to there. It actually looks pretty good. So if they end up breaking out, I would not be surprised. A lot of stocks have been beating earnings lately. Just be careful gambling on them. It can be very, very risky, of course. And we can't forget Palantir. I know a lot of people have been loving them. This poor stock, though, just keeps going down. Hopefully we can get it back to the upside, kind of like we did with DraftKings last week. They had some great earnings numbers and a good outlook, and they ended up going up 15% on Friday with that huge move from Thursday and after hours. And then even Friday, they had some very respectful price action to the upside there. So these earnings this week are going to be huge. Go ahead and screenshot this if you want to. There are so many on here. Obviously, I can't cover all of them, but it's looking pretty good for this week as far as the earnings are concerned. Comment down below what your favorite earnings play for the week is. There's so many, even Oxy, Twilio, Upstart, Beyond Meat is even mixed in here. Toyota, kind of forgot about Toyota down there. So definitely be on the lookout for those earnings and for those inflation numbers on Wednesday as well. But getting over into some pretty big news with Oxy. So like I said, they're actually reporting earnings later in the week. And they had some big news here with Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire actually had their annual shareholder meeting over the weekend, and they said that they're actually not going to take full control of Occidental Petroleum or Oxy, which is a Houston-based I guess you'd say oil giant is what you'd call them. Obviously, they're called Occidental Petroleum, but they deal with all types of stuff. It looks like Berkshire's stake is actually north of 20% right here. That is actually pretty big, and Berk A is just a powerhouse. Let's go ahead and look at Berk here on the charts. If we go to Berk/A, it's kind of confusing. You know, there's all types of different ways to search for it. Berk.A, Berk/A. It looks like Berk.A is going to be the way to go here. If we go over to that daily chart, though, it is insane, the growth on Berkshire Hathaway. Like, let's just say around 2016, 2017, you started investing, you threw some money into Berkshire because you heard, Warren Buffett was pretty good, right? Right now, Berkshire would have been up 128% over that time, which is pretty good. Now, obviously, it's not going to be anything like Apple's growth. If you go to them from 2015 to now, Apple's up 429%. But keep in mind that this is Berkshire Hathaway. You also have Berk A and Berk B. I'm not going to really get into the two differences between them because I don't want to, bore you guys to death. But the big news is that they're not going to take control of Oxy, which is good. He actually, in Warren Buffett's own words, he actually said that they wouldn't know what to do with it. And it makes a lot of sense. They're an investment firm. It wouldn't make sense for them to take it over and try to, fix an oil giant or anything like that. But it's cool that they own so much of this company, 20%. And I kind of wanted to look at Oxy a little bit because with them having those earnings coming out on Tuesday after close, I thought it would be an interesting one to talk about because they've been really stuck in a big range here for a while. If we look, Oxy's been bouncing off this $56 support, $55, right around there. And to the upside, there's a huge level overhead right around 74 to 76. So I'm going to go ahead and place my level here right at 75. You can see there's a few hits right off of that level. So with Oxy here, they're kind of near the bottom of the range. I'm going to really watch this one for a possible push back up. It's a pretty big gamble here this week, obviously with earnings coming out. But crude oil started to push back up last week a little bit towards the end too. If we keep seeing crude start to push back up and crude prices go back on the rise, that's going to be huge for Oxy going forward. If crude prices keep falling down, Oxy might start to fall back down too. They are pretty overextended, but they're near the bottom of this range. So if we start to bounce back up, just watch it very closely this week. It's one of those big oil stocks, and it does have some pretty big news with Berkshire here as well. And, with Berkshire at their annual shareholder meeting, I read through a lot of stuff that they said, and go ahead and check it out for yourselves if you guys want to see everything that they mentioned. There was so much stuff that they talked about there. But one thing that I just want to keep in mind is, Warren Buffett is 92 years old. He was born August 30th of 1930. That is insane. This man is just insane right now. The net worth on Forbes apparently is $112.8 billion. That is huge. And he's a long-term investor. He's a big fan of buying companies and holding them over the long term. And I'm a big fan of that as well. So, we have Disney earnings coming up this week, Lucid, a bunch of companies that have been low. Maybe we'll start to see some better pops and some trend changes, kind of like we did with DraftKings. But 92 years old, go Warren Buffett. And hey, even his right-hand guy, Charlie Munger, 99 years old. That's insane. Here's a picture of both of them. I'm going to be honest, at some point they have to retire, right? But it's pretty insane how they keep going and how they keep, navigating through some of these stocks and everything like that with sound minds. Now, I know that they have a lot of people working for them and stuff like that, but it's so cool to see them at the shareholder meetings and etc. So go check it out later if you guys want. Those shareholder meetings are definitely fun to watch with these guys. So check them out. They're very respectful characters out there, and man, it's so cool to see these guys. They won't be around much longer, so treasure them while we can. But getting back to the charts here, going back over to the SPY, we had that big move up on Friday. We're kind of getting back into this area of resistance. Recently, there was a big resistance around 418, and even if we look on Friday, there was that double top going on right around 414. So I have a feeling this week, if we start to break above 414, we'll have a pretty good retest of 417.50 to 418 overhead. I think that we could get there pretty easily with some of these earnings and some of that good momentum we had from Friday with Tesla and so many other stocks. And talking about big momentum, let's go ahead and get into some of the big setups for tomorrow. And with my first one, I'm actually going with Alibaba. This stock's had some pretty good news over the past few days. I know China is China, you know, they're kind of crazy, right? I'm not a big fan of buying and holding BABA just because of the China scares, I guess you could say. I think we'll be okay with China though. Like, let's be realistic. If something bad happened with them, we would all be in trouble. But BABA's bouncing right around this $80 support. If we start to move back to the upside this week and we start to break above, like let's go ahead and go back to the 5-minute chart above this recent little resistance here, right around 83.80. I'm going to go ahead and look at some calls. I think that this stock could hit 85 plus pretty easily, maybe Monday or Tuesday. So keep it on the radar. Alibaba could be a good one with this $80 support that they're bouncing off of. Now, my second play is actually going to be in memory of Mike today. CCJ, one of Mike's favorites. This stock was up 3.57% on Friday. I noticed it kind of pulling back last week a little bit, but it's overall been on a pretty good uptrend recently. So if we start to continue on this uptrend, maybe break above 27.80, I'll go ahead and look at more calls. That big resistance up there at $28 as well. So I'll be watching that for a potential bounce or break off of that if we do start to run up above 27.80, like I said. So definitely keep your eyes on CCJ. That daily chart on them is starting to look pretty attractive again. You know, it's getting back to the upside and going on a pretty nice uptrend here on this pull back to the upside. So glad to see that there. But let's go ahead and get into the momentum plays now. And with the first one, we're going to go ahead and have Meta here today. So META, they are very overextended to the upside. And even though the market was actually moving up pretty well on Friday, Meta actually started falling back off in after hours. So if they get under 231.50, which was a pretty big area of resistance from Friday, I'm going to go ahead and watch them for some puts to the downside. That's a pretty big level there. So 231.50 on Meta to the downside. And one of my favorite stocks ever and last week is DraftKings. How could I not put this one into the momentum plays? They were up 15% on Friday. They announced some pretty good earnings. It looks like they're going to be positive or profitable sometime soon. So that's great to hear. Go ahead and watch for them to break above $25. I think that's a pretty big area of resistance. If we break 25, maybe watch for some calls for a quick scalp or day trade. And with the last play is actually BABA. So I know I talked about BABA a minute ago. Watch that 83.80 area. I think that's a very awesome area to watch Alibaba to the upside at. If we break above that, we could see a good move up to 85. Like I said, these China stocks have been going down for a while now. So I think we could definitely see a pretty good retest of 85, if not even higher this week, on even just a pull back up. You know, at some point, these sellers are going to start taking profits too. So remember that in the back of your mind. But it's actually time for Mike's favorite part of the video, and it's the big money play. So with today's play, it's actually the XP 16 strike calls for June 16th, 2023. And this stock actually looks pretty awesome right now to the upside. Looking at it on the daily chart, it has a ton of momentum here. And I love that momentum to the upside. It's breaking recent resistance at 1450. And it's actually filling this big gap right back up here. So this is a pretty good move. Like I said, it's the 16 strike calls for June 16th, 2023. Too many 16s mixed in there, but this is a great stock, guys. I'm not saying it's a fantastic stock or anything like that necessarily. If we actually head over to the unusual options tab in Discord, we actually give you a pretty brief description of the company. So they're a Brazilian investment management company. The stock's been on a nice run over the past month, has a lot of call volume today overall. Sometimes lesser known companies like this make for great unusual options trades because the stocks are easier to move. And that makes a lot of sense. You know, it's not the biggest stock in the world. It's not going to be like a, Apple or anything like that. It's a Brazilian investment company. So keep that in mind. It looks like it's going back on the uptrend, filling the gap, getting some nice momentum, and I love to see it. And hey, if you guys want access to the unusual options plays before they come out on the same day, go ahead and check out the link down below for the Discord and for statistical modeling. It'll be awesome, guys. You get access to the unusual options plays, all the sniper bot, hybrid bot, day trades, and stuff like that. And talking about the sniper and hybrid bot day trades, the bot plays have been fantastic lately, guys. If we go over to the day trading channel, the sniper bot plays from Friday, this is insane. We actually called out the NVIDIA 285 calls, ran up 65.88%. The Microsoft 31250 calls ran up 57%, and the AMD 85 strike calls, all call options here on Friday, because that's where the momentum was. It ran up 48.10% there. So those are some awesome moves. And the average sniper bot play for the week last week actually ran up 55.97%. If we scroll up through the day trading channel, there are some amazing plays. Look at this on Thursday. We had the Airbnb puts, 21%. Boeing puts, 45%. We actually had the hybrid bot, call it a 36%er. That was huge there, 45% on Boeing. That's a very respectful move. The day before that, we had almost a 200% move on Adobe puts. That was a fantastic play. 83% on the Uber calls there. The Amazon was a dud that day, but to be honest, with a 200%er and an 83%er, I don't mind having one dud mixed in, but check it out. Check out the link down below. You guys will love this. Prices are going up soon. We are actually doing a huge update on Monday, so check it out. Prices are going to be going up very, very soon, so get locked into the low rates now while you can. The plays last week were awesome. I cannot even iterate how hot these bots are right now. It has been awesome over the past week. Keep in mind, though, do not, go all in or anything like that. Always manage your position smartly. Keep your stop losses in place. Just because we had a bunch of good plays does not mean that you need to go all in or anything like that. Always, be smart with your positions. But getting back into the market here, as a quick little recap, the SPY is pretty much running up into resistance. Same thing with QQQ. Pretty much sitting right at recent resistance. So if we start to get some breakouts with some of these big earnings plays this week, or maybe even some big moves with the inflation rate on Wednesday, that could be pretty huge for us. So keep in mind, there's going to be a lot of big events this week, guys. Let me know in the comments what your favorite earnings play is. Like I said, I really love Disney. It's one of my favorites for the longer term, and I love them, especially since they got into streaming. I think that helps them so much. So, keep Disney on the radars, along with all the other stocks. Palantir is an interesting one. Oxy as well. There's so many to list here. Take a screenshot if you guys want. Other than that, though, have a fantastic week. Let's go ahead and bring in those profits. Have a good one, guys.